Sorry, can I get a mover and seconder? Councillor Gillen, Councillor Weiss. Recorded.
Recorded vote has been requested for the only item of council reporting of a closed session this evening. Councillor Gallo, how do you vote? Councillor Gallo votes yes. Councillor Kim? Councillor Kim votes yes. Councillor Gilland? Councillor Gilland votes yes. Councillor Weiss? Councillor Weiss votes yes. Councillor Gartner is absent. Councillor Thompson?
Yes.
And Mayor Maracus?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Confirming bylaw, and mover and seconder. Councillor Gillen, Councillor Gallo. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Motion to adjourn. Councillor Kim, Councillor Gallo, all in favor? Meeting adjourned. Okay. Now I'm going to call to order the special meeting of council to deal with the response to potential U.S. tariffs. We'll start off with our land acknowledgement. The town of Aurora acknowledges that the Anishinaabe lands on which we live and work are the traditional and treaty territory of the Chippewas of Georgina Island, as well as many other nations whose presence here continues to this day. As the closest First Nation community to Aurora, we recognize the special relationship the Chippewas have with the lands and waters of this territory. They are the water protectors and environmental stewards of these lands. And as a municipality, we join them in these responsibilities. We further acknowledge that Aurora is part of the treaty lands of the Mississaugas and Chippewas, recognized through Treaty Number 13, as well as the Williams Treaties of 1923. A shared understanding of our rich cultural heritage that has existed for centuries and how our collective past brought us to where we are today will help us walk together into a better future. Council, can I get a motion to approve tonight's agenda? Councillor Weiss, Councillor Gillihan. Oh, my apologies to note, we will be voting through eScribe. Everybody needs a second to get it up. No, it looks like everybody's ready. Great. All those in favor of the approval of the agenda? Motion carries. Declarations of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof. Seeing none. We have no delegations, so we will consider our first and only item for this special meeting of council. 6.1, the response to potential U.S. tariffs. Can I have a mover and seconder for this motion? Mayor Maracus, seconded by Councillor Gilliland. Any comments or questions? Councillor Gallo.
Thank you. Just to give me a sense of some of the recommendation changes, refer to treaty partners acting in good faith. And I know there's a definition in the report, but how do we determine whether or not someone is acting in good faith?
Ms. Wainwright Van Kessel.
Through Mr. Chair. So part of that is looking at how they are acting in accordance with the trade treaty that we have with them. But to make that decision, staff will do a bit more research and we'll look at making this decision using the Procurement Governance Committee, which this would essentially bring it to the ELT table for decision.
Councillor Gallo.
So there'll be a structure in place and a criteria to determine whether or not someone's acting in good faith, Mr. Chair.
Ms. Wainwright Van Kessel.
Through Mr. Chair. Yes, but we'll have to work on that.
Okay. In table 3, there's changes to schedule C and D, and there's low value, mid value, and open competition. Can someone go through that with me first in relation to the report and trade restrictions? And secondly, is this just an opportunity to update what we currently have?
Mrs. Wainwright Van Kessel.
Through you, Mr. Chair. So Staff were doing a review of the procurement bylaw as it was before the threat of tariffs did come into play. And we were looking at inflationary impacts and possibly increasing the thresholds for that reason. But with the impact of tariffs, what we did was we took a look at what our requirements are for open competition to start with, and that is the trade treaties. And the lowest trade treaty threshold was at 100,000. So what we decided was to recommend that the open competition threshold meet that trade treaty amount, so we can ensure that we're in compliance with all trade treaties by doing those open competitions. And then with that, we also looked at modifying the thresholds below that, and also putting in some language into the bylaw to say a Canadian preference in purchasing.
Councillor Gallo?
So if I understood correctly, this is going to, the intent was to come and renew that bylaw anyway, and we're just, as a result of what we're doing, updating that table.
Mrs. Wainwright Van Kessel?
Through you, Mr. Chair. So yes, we were looking at updating the bylaw. There are additional updates that we do want to make to the bylaw. Some of them are administrative and more cleanup and making it so it's easier to follow and understand the language. The changes that we've identified in here are only related to the response to tariff. So those other changes will come at a later time, likely later this year.
Thank you.
The only reason I ask is if this is necessary right now, and the only reason I say that is, you know, I'd like to have some more details around the impact of these, which we would normally have in a comprehensive review of the bylaw. If this is something that's urgent, that's directly related to it, I'm okay. If this can wait, I would prefer that until the new bylaw comes in with a more fulsome report on the rationale for updating these values. It's just my perspective.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Councillor Weiss?
Mine's kind of similar. Maybe I have to ask it in a different way. If we were to approve these bylaws, this bylaw now, and all the tariff information changed significantly, are we satisfied with this procurement bylaw the way it is? Are the changes that are being suggested in here, they're not only legal, I know that, but they're also desirable for us to have, so that we don't need to come back every time somebody makes a change in their tariff policy or any other type of thing through you, Mr. Chair.
Ms. Wainwright Van Kessel?
Probably Ms. Wainwright Van Kessel.
Through you, Mr. Chair. So the changes that we're recommending here would apply if it was any other foreign nation that we have a trade treaty with, and would apply regardless. So it's not just specific necessarily to the US, but if we have other situations, it could apply in a similar manner.
Councillor Weiss?
Okay, that's fine. Thanks.
Other comments or questions? Mayor Maracas?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I really don't have a question. I just kind of want to make a comment. I do want to thank town staff for their hard work in bringing forward this, quite frankly, important recommendations to amend our procurement bylaw in response to the potential U.S. tariffs. Preferring made in Canada products and suppliers is critical to supporting local businesses, protecting jobs, and ensuring Aurora remains economically resilient. And while our procurement outside of Canada, as stated in the report, is minimal at just 0.7%, that percentage multiplied across 444 municipalities in Ontario adds up to a significant amount. That's why it's important, not just for Aurora, but for all municipalities across the province, and quite frankly, across Canada, to follow suit and take action. And by working together, we can ensure that our procurement practices support Canadian businesses, Canadian jobs, and a stronger economy for all. Now, I'm proud that once again here in Aurora, we are one of the first municipalities to act and take the necessary steps to amend our procurement bylaw. Leading by example, we are demonstrating that municipalities can play a key role in supporting local economies while staying aligned with trade obligations. Moving this forward is about standing up for our community, ensuring economic stability, and setting a precedent for others to follow. So I look forward, hopefully, that we pass this tonight, allow staff to bring back that bylaw to us at the end of the month, and where we can approve it and have a stronger procurement policy moving forward. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Gallo for the second time.
Thank you. And I'm in support of this, and I'm glad we put it forward because it gave us an idea and an opportunity to analyze our procurement. And a little bit of a reality check that the 0.7 that we do potentially spend non-Canadian, those vendors, I believe the vast majority of them we would have a very tough time finding Canadian equivalent. I think we already do a pretty good job in buying Canadian. So while this is great, and I'm happy we put it forward, the net impact to our community, I don't think our business is going to change very much as a result of this because we're already doing a very good job. So I'm happy to put it forward. I'm glad it's here. It gave us a chance to analyze, and we realize that we are already doing a really good job in terms of buying Canadian.
Thank you, Councillor Gallo. Councillor Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There's two sets of wordings in this that are probably very good for us. One is wherever possible, and the second one is in good faith. So will we have the criteria that staff will be using to decide these two things?
Ms. Wainwright Van Kessel, would you like to respond?
Through you, Mr. Chair. So when the bylaw comes forward, one of the items we were thinking about for in good faith and making that determination would be the Procurement Governance Committee. That is the group of ELT. So we'll put in more definition of how that would happen. But along with the changes to the bylaw, it will result in some internal staff process changes that we need to look at as well. And we will follow the spirit of what is included in here.
Thank you. And what about the wherever possible? Is that defined in some way? Or if the answer isn't available tonight, then for the next meeting?
Ms. Wainwright Van Kessel.
Through you, Mr. Chair, our understanding of wherever possible would be where there are no other Canadian equivalents that reasonably priced.
Thank you. Councillor Gardner.
Thank you. And we are bound to accept the best price, all things being equal. Sorry, Ms. Van Kessel, I know this isn't exactly your area.
Mrs. Wainwright Van Kessel.
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes, like all things being equal, we would select the Canadian supplier.
Thank you. And, I agree that this is the right thing to do. Will it make a difference to us? I doubt it, but it is a tangible show of support for what we're trying to accomplish at all levels of our government in Canada. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Gillen.
Thank you. Through Mr. Chair to Mr. Maracas. Since you're on the AMO board, I'm assuming that AMO has released a statement as well. I believe they did a shared social and economic prosperity statement in early December. Is that correct? Kind of on the same realm of what you're asking us to do?
Mayor Maracas.
Through you, Mr. Chair, to Councillor Gilland. Yeah, absolutely. They did come out with a statement, and quite frankly, similar to as I believe the Premier came out and stated when the tariffs were imminent at the time that the province was going to ban allowing any U.S. bids to anything in the province, and recommended that all 444 municipalities do the same. And quite frankly, that's why I mentioned that this is something that should go beyond just us. It should be something that all municipalities in Ontario and quite frankly right across Canada should be beefing up their procurement policies to make sure that they do have a preference for made in Canada products and suppliers, and continue to support the Canadian businesses. And when someone threatens our sovereignty and puts in unwelcomed and unneeded tariffs, that we all respond collectively together and make a stance. And that's exactly what I think this does as well. As was mentioned, continues to put forward a really good procurement policy. It was needed to be beefed up. It was needed to be cleaned up. And I think that this has opened their eyes to needing to do that at a more sooner time.
Councillor Gillen?
Thank you. Appreciate the explanation. I do like the fact that we've increased our thresholds within the recommendation here, and hopefully we'll be encouraging others to follow the same. Thanks.
Thank you. I do have a question. I'm not sure whether it's best directed to Ms. Desario or Ms. Wainwright Van Kessel. Over the years, I've often heard from local residents with regards to our procurement bylaw about, is there a way to give preference to Aurora businesses when we go out and do bids? And so there may be some residents who see this and see that we're taking action to give a preference to Canadian companies over US. Why are we able to do it this way, but not be able to also give a preference to local businesses? Mr. Serio.
To you, Mr. Chair. There is legislation that states that no person in Ontario shall engage in discriminatory business practices. One of the grounds is based on geographical location of persons engaging in business. So that is the local preference. And there are also procurement principles and best practices that state that procurement should be fair, transparent, non-discriminatory, and competitive.
Thank you. I just think while it's a little bit of a sidetrack from this motion, I think it's important for anybody, residents that are listening in, to know that while we can do this, as much as we'd like to try and give a preference to local businesses, we're not able to. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Wendy, it's on eScribe.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I am on eScribe. I'll do a verbal vote this time until I find it.
How do you vote, Wendy? Councillor Gardner?
Oh, yeah. Yes, I vote yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Sorry? Oh, did it? Councillor Gardner was a yes.
We know that Councillor Gardner will yes, show up in the minutes.
So a correction will be made so that it will be reflected in the minutes that Councillor Gardner voted in favor of the motion. Thank you for bringing that to my attention.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Confirming bylaw. Motion? Oh, please grab. Councillor Gillen, Mayor Maracas, all in favor? Perfect. Motion to adjourn until 7 o'clock. Councillor Gallo, Councillor Kim, all in favor? Be it. Thanks very much, everyone. Mayor Maracas, enjoy Pride Tradition.
Have a good meeting, guys.